In this section, we show you another way on how to describe a relationship between two variables. Previously, we used a table of values, we've used a set of ordered pairs, and we've also used a graph describing or illustrating a relationship between two variables. Well, here's another one. It's called a verbal description of how variables are related. And really, it could also be known as a verbal rule. You'll read about that. But it really is simply a complete sentence that describes how to explicitly calculate values of the output variable as it relates or as related to the input variable. So a complete sentence that describes how to calculate output values is what a verbal description is. So let me give you an example here. You, being a Starbucks lover, have signed up for a new rewards program and are looking to become a gold member, which is a pretty good deal. If you haven't looked into it, you should. You have loaded your newly acquired Starbucks card with $30 ready for some Java. Your favorite drink is a tall cafe Americano, which costs $1.95. As you frequently patronize the local Starbucks store, you try to keep account of your remaining balance. So question number one here is, over the course of time, what two variables are involved in this scenario? So over the course of time, what's happening here? What quantity is changing? And so hopefully you see right away or thinking the remaining balance is changing, but over the course of time, what else? So let me write that down here. Remaining balance. What else is happening revolving around this remaining balance? So it's not really explicitly stated in here, but hopefully you can buy into this. Your favorite drink, your Americano, is what you always order. Let's assume that, and every time you go, you only order that. So we could say the number of Americanos is changing. It's actually increasing. I mean, you continue to buy more and more. But another variable here is the number of Americano drinks. Okay, so question now. Which is the input variable and which is the output variable? So this, you must go back and look at the definitions of what these are. And for the input variable, it's the guy that comes first in doing calculations. And for the output variable, it's the guy that's dependent on the other. So you've got to look at these two and say, when you do calculations revolving these two variables, which do you look to first and which depends on the other? Well, after some thought, hopefully you see that this remaining balance depends on how many Americano drinks you have purchased. And or when you're calculating the remaining balance, you first need to know what this number of Americano drinks is. So when you first calculate, you handle this number first, or this variable first. So this is what we call the input variable. And this was what we call the output variable, often called the dependent variable. So this depends on this. And while we're at it here, we should give these variables a letter name. So number of Americanos, we can say A. Remaining balance, we'll call it B, or we'll call it R, I guess, for remaining balance. So this just reviews variables, and in our next video I'll talk to you about a verbal description.